Welcome to Government 6159, Emotions and Public Policy. Welcome to the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. We are thrilled to have you here. I'm a very good teacher. Don't let my boldness get in the way of my ego. And I'm turning on my phone just because I called ICT, and they've not called me back yet. I just want to make sure the recording is recording, and there's no way for me to do that at the moment, so I want them to call me back and let me know. You're also in the School of Social and Political Sciences, in the discipline of Government International Relations. We're going to do an orientation to your studies. We'll talk about the course. I've updated the slides. If you looked at them an hour ago, they are updated. I always do a fresh, it's like a new car smell, right? You want the fresh slides. So I always do a little work on them right before class. We're going to look at public policy. We are going to look at one of the most important studies that has ever come out. DeCidi and Capiocco, the really hard to read article that was very short but hard to read. Very dense. Robbie, you already know the answer to this. Does anybody else know what the important takeaway of DeCidi and Capiocco is? Yes?
Affect comes before moral cognition.
Affect comes before moral cognition. You feel before you know. Biologically, there are things that you feel. And DeCidi and Capiocco talk about it as affect, right? That hair on the back of your necks that stirs up. So had there ever been a study before DeCidi and Capiocco that had found that affect, that emotion, that the hair in the back of your neck was faster than cognition? Cognition means thinking, seeing, being able to register that something's going on. Had there ever been an article before that? Not according to DeCidi and Capiocco. They say this is the first study in the history of the world that proved scientifically that emotions are faster than cognition, than thinking. So that has sort of incredibly powerful implications for a class on emotions and public policy, because if you feel in ways that precede what you think, then when you do a public policy that is nudging at people, whether it's a microaggression or whether it's a sugar hit or a smiley face or whatever it is, COVID, then emotions are playing it's not only faster, it's called the primacy of affect. It is the most important. Affect is primacy. It is the winner between emotions and thinking. Who wins? Emotions. Emotions win. It's the primacy of affect. So that's what this class is about. And we're going to look at the relationship between the primacy of affect and the policy process. Okay, there's a bunch of different emotions. They're all lovely. We are specifically interested in this class at looking at the way emotions impact the policy process. The attention stuff is really good and it's important. You're going to see lots of it. But I'm not doing like a psychology 101. I put the Cottam book in the week 1 lecture to give you the emotions chapter, right? So if you're like, I need, Chris, you talked about all about it. Where is it? It was week 1. It was the Cottam article. There you go. Then you had the DeCidi and Capiocco article, which is the attention article, primacy of affect. And so there we are. Okay. Today, we start. And we are on Tuesdays from 5 to 7. And we'll take a break at 6 for a bathroom. And then it looks like that. I put it all on the slide. So that's the Tuesdays. What could this conceivably mean? Sorry? assessment task. So you can't see it, but it says assessment on that. And then that's the day your assessment is due. Okay? And then we have that. Oh, so the census date is the date at which you are paying for the class. You can take the class up till April 2nd. If you do not drop it, you are paying for it. So it'll show up as a W, or you'll absent fail, or you'll something. But for the whole your life of your master's degree program, the census date is your most important date. You can enroll in units, I think, until March 1st. So if you wanted to take, golfing or running or musical theater, or you could do it, but you'd have to drop them by April 1st, or you're paying for them. Okay, I put it before that's also the week of Easter, which is incredibly early this year. So there's no class that week, and there's a little hanging sign. And then that's April, and then there's May, and then your assessment is due. Okay? Questions? Okay. How is this class different? It's different in a bunch of different ways. I don't know that I need to go through all these things, but we just did this one, but we'll keep talking about it in the second half of the lecture, right? So it's the hierarchy of biological emotional responses. Affect has primacy. It is the number one. Is there anything above affect? No, nothing. It is primacy of affect. So, biological emotions. Then you've got expectations, which is kind of a weird one. What do you think if there was biology to expectations? So we already said primacy of affect, but next would come cognition, right? So you've got to feel it, then you see it, or you experience it in some meaningful way. What do you think you expect? What's the first expectation that you develop as a human? Through a repertoire of tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and tried, and it worked. Any ideas? So you're a little kid, and you're going to try something. And you expect, so the expectation, biological cognition expectation, that something happens after you do one thing, that things are consistent, right? That's sort of what expectations do. They give you an ability to have meaning of the world by expecting that the next thing is true. Okay, I'll give it this way. Flat. The earth is flat. That if I put one foot in front of the other, if I hold on tight, I can expect that the next step I take will be flat. Does that make sense? So I didn't fall, right? You see little kids and the parents run over and they're like, oh, baby's first steps, right? It's like a big thing. So baby's first steps. The earth is flat and baby walks. It's going to become important later. So we've got this weird role of primacy of affect. And then we've got this really incredible, powerful role of expectations. And then we've got attention to a problem. And James, what's the definition of a problem? A problem is defined as
when expectation does not exceed, does not meet, the action does not meet expectation.
the expectation doesn't meet reality. So you think something, so I'm going to win $1 million today. I didn't win $1 million today. What's an expectation that one of you had that didn't come true this week at Sydney Uni? You thought it'd be sunny. Anything? I'm very Socratic, and I will walk up the stairs. Any thoughts? Expectation that you didn't meet? You thought it'd be bigger, you thought it'd be smaller, thought the food would be better, thought any of that? Well, a problem is only a problem when expectation is inconsistent with reality. That is the definition of a problem. So your body and your ability to navigate the world, if it meets the expectation, is it a problem? I won $1 million today. What is anybody here do finance? No one. Commerce? No one. Kahneman and Tversky won the Nobel Prize for what theory? Anybody? Prospect theory. Losses loom larger than gains. So if I have expectations, and if I know that losses loom larger than gains, then do I care about winning the $1 million as much as I care if I lose the $1 million? I can't. I biologically cannot. So primacy of affect, primacy of losses. Losses loom larger than gains. Has to. Okay. How do hierarchies of identity regulate social emotional expressions? Okay, so now what you're telling me is that the identity, which is usually socially constructed, that I feel towards something, so attention to an expectation regarding a social identity. So I'm going to use examples in this class of very offensive things, but I am not, in and of myself, offensive. Here I will allow an apology for myself. On indigeneity, I will not, but here I will. So for instance, 13-year-old girl wears a mini skirt to the mall. What does everyone say? So attention to an expectation on the basis of identity says what? Go put some more clothes on. Yes, sorry. Go put some more clothes on. Right? And that's like in Modern Family and Gilmore Girls and all the things. Oh, you gotta put more clothes. You're too young to wear a dress like that, right? You're too young to wear a dress like that. Attention to an expectation relative to an identity, right? That's all that is. So when you look at emotional interactions, can I use these three for an example? So I'm working on a paper with Charlotte Grecki at University of Nord in Norway, and our paper is looking at orca strikes on rich people boats next to Spain, polar bear attacks, and shark attacks. And we're looking at the emotional, we're looking at the way the policy process navigates these three different things, right, emotionally, on the basis of like emotion, expectation, these other things. Should the person be there? Would the expectation be, this is in a zoo, should the person be in the water? Okay, so there's expectation. So attention to expectation regarding identity, tourist, right? Jumps in the water. And there could be a million other variables that end up coming into play here, right? Maybe they've got mental illness, maybe they're having an episode, maybe they're suicidal. Maybe there could be a million other things there. But that falls into sort of the identity category. But the expectation is that the polar bear is in the zoo and somebody has entered the zoo unexpectedly, right? That's an expectation, right? To have something be unexpected. Shock. So attention, this might be, let me check. ICT? Yes, hello, hi ICT. Can you just confirm that the audio is recording in K205? I am currently lecturing to my brilliant students. K205, which is the Quad General Lecture Theater. I should be able to see from the touch panel. Oh, you want me to touch something? There is, yes. Yes, there is. But if I touch it, am I going to turn it off? No? Okay, I touched it. Okay, recording's in progress. Okay, great. We're perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers. Have a great day. Good, we did it. So Anyway, we'll talk about this later. I've been here 14 years. 14 long years. Can you imagine how many calls I've made to ICT in 14 years? Okay. Attention. I expected ICT. I mean, the amazing thing is that ICT called after the recording had started 40 minutes ago, which is actually probably the correct response time if my expectations were in alignment. If you call ICT on the Tuesday of week 1, you'll wait 40 minutes. Okay, so that is not a problem, right? Because it met my expectation. So this is all about expectation. This is all about attention to the expectation regarding the identity. This shark attack is about attack means that it is theoretically unexpected, right? They always say shark attacks are rare, so everyone's surprised when they happen. But in Australia, they happen a lot. But every time they happen, they're rare, but then they keep happening. So this rare, unexpected shark bit, identity. So we've got attention to an expectation, which is really all the phrase shark attack is. Attention to so shark, attack, unexpected, and Elizabeth Bay. And again, let's be very clear that we are looking at variables, right? I am not saying that sharks should bite people. I am not entirely a monster. I'm sympathetic to all of these things, but I'm teaching a class in the variables related to emotions. So we have to actually talk about them because this is not a class in metaphysics. So, okay, then orcas attack, so intention, unexpectedly, the orca strikes on the yachts off the coast of Spain. Are they expected? Hello, everybody over here. Expected or not expected? Not expected. Good identity group, bad identity group. The people in the yachts. Sorry, what was it? Not expected. Do we like people in yachts off the coast of Spain? Generally? She's like, well, it wasn't my yacht. It wasn't. No, it's not. No. So I would say, so this is usually an Eat the Rich story. So it's like, oh, the yachters, and then there's like the story that it's like the female orca that got wronged by humans, and they like killed her baby, and then now she's training the other orcas to attack yachts in Spain. And it's this crazy story, but it's the way that you give meaning to it, right? Attention to an expectation. Oh, she should have. Oh, we deserved it. It was a revenge attack. Orcas are mounting revenge attacks against yachts across Spain, right? That's what they're saying. Jezebel did a great story on this. And so what is the hierarchy of biological emotion? So affect, you've got your emotion. What's the expectation? Eat them. That's the expectation. Attention to the problem. Hierarchies of identity. We love orca more than we love millionaires with yachts. But these are, if you were to take the word polar bear out of here, and take shark off there, and take orca off there, they would conceivably be very similar. However, they are not, because the identity is different, and the expectation related to the identity is different. And the emotional relationship you have with polar bears or orcas and sharks is different. Okay, so that's what we're going to do in this class. Yes?
Are you assuming that our expectations are all the same? Because it wouldn't depend on the context. Say, for example, people on the boat are throwing spears at the orcas. Expectation, well, maybe they deserved it. But vice versa, say that people on the boat were researchers that were trying to improve orca population.
Right. It's a yacht full of little children from an orphanage in Sweden that are trying to get home to their grandmother on Christmas Eve with the toys in hand. And no, but this is like the thing, right? Like this is exactly what happens in these stories. And so the subjectivity of the expectation is a key unit of measure. So it is absolutely important. And when we look at it, so here's an instance. So in this class, we look at, when you do your assessments, you look at 4 variables. Affect, so emotion, causal story, which sort of identifies who your actors are, right? Who's being attacked by whom, and for what purpose. And is it accident, is it intentional, was they wronged, is it revenge, what the thing is. Policy entrepreneur, there's usually somebody who like unifies the motif, right? So somebody stands out. And then you've got affect, salience, policy entrepreneurship, causal stories. So then you've got with attention, you've got to also assume that a meteor didn't hit the Earth that day and draw your attention otherwise. For some people, the meteor is a new streaming show, right? If you get the wrong, it's like the celebrities who die on the wrong day, right? So like, if you die, it's like the joke on Veep about Tom Hanks. You know, Tom Hanks dies, so nobody pays attention to Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Yes? Totally. Climbing Mount Everest on the wrong day. You got to the top on the wrong day because the Pope died. And somebody shot the president, or whatever the thing is, or, or Biden made it up a staircase. Like, whatever the thing is that was not in your expectations, right? It met the thing. So Trump is a great example of this. Does anyone have any expectations of Donald Trump? Any expectations? It's a race to the bottom on expectations. And we'll talk about why that is and what the important thing is, and that's going to be really important to whose expectation is really being, they refer to it as like violated, like a violation of an expectation, right? Because here's the kicker. It's not about Trump. If you believe in someone, who is harmed when they do not meet your expectations? You are. So the whole universe of Trump supporters who believe, these are true believers. He can do whatever he wants to. What did he say? I can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue because it won't hurt him. It'll hurt the people who believe in the idea of whatever he represents to them, that it is invalidating their emotions, not his. So they have to believe it. Okay. That was a bit of a thing by certain people on certain issues. Okay, we got to keep moving. Okay. In this class, if you choose to remain, you are a classroom leader. I am the Associate Dean of Student Affairs. What did I say? Associate Dean? Yes, I am the Associate Dean of Student Affairs. And, maybe this is recording. Maybe that's the thing. I don't know. Anyway, they do all these new things, and you don't get an email. You just show up to your 122 students, and miraculously, and it's not like there wasn't a class in here before. Anyway, the point is, this is what this is for. If I start to diatribe, I have to turn it over, and it's a 2-minute stop clock. And then at the end of the 2 minutes, we're done. Like, I have to shut up. So you're a classroom leader. This is dignity, respect. Something interesting about this class that's a little bit different. You'll notice that you're all postgrads. This is a very large postgraduate class at the University of Sydney. This is the largest postgraduate class you will probably ever take at the University of Sydney. And we have a few different options, none of which I really like. So one of the options was to split you all up into seminars and then have you come back on a different day, on a different time, to a different room, and have a small seminar of however many people or log into the seminar. I have decided not to do that because remember when I thought I was a good lecturer? I still think it, and I think we can do this. as a large class, and we'll get your input, and I'll wander around, and we'll, trust me, over 13 weeks. Is that fair? Like, I don't totally suck. Like, I can do this. Is that fair? So I think it's going to be okay, and I think that I will lose more of you by having you come on a different day at a different time in a different room twice in a week to campus, and which may or may not align with any of your other life things, than I will if we have a 2-hour block. Is that okay? Okay, that's what I did. Good. All right. So we're all, maybe no TikToks in class, please. For AI, if you want to use, you're going to do it anyway, but like if you want to use AI or ChatGPT to research stuff, that's great. But as Associate Dean of Student Affairs, it is my job to fail you, and a major breach, which is a 0, that you would receive, guaranteed, if you copy and paste your ChatGPT into your essay. And I know everybody thinks that if you just start the thing, I'll just use it for an introduction, and then I do, oh, that's pretty good, and oh my God, I sound amazing. And then it turns into a second paragraph, or I'll just do the introduction and conclusion, and I copy and paste, and if I heavily edit it, he's not even gonna know. I can spot ChatGPT. I'm a Surrey Hills gay. No one probably knows what that means. But I can spot ChatGPT like a Surrey Hills gay can spot another Surrey Hills gay, right? When you meet somebody from your other neighborhood, or you know what I mean? Maybe you're from, I don't know where you're from, but wherever you're from, when you see somebody from your neighborhood, they like do a thing or they whatever, like that's how I do 600 cases of integrity a year. Okay? So I do 300 first semester, 300 second semester. So, what do you think? Do you feel lucky? That's the question you've got to really, if you do, look. But it is, I would not cheat in the class with the Associate Dean of Student Affairs who oversees academic integrity for 17,000 students. Yes?
Out of curiosity, what's your thoughts on grammar sort of helping something like that?
I use Grammarly. I have no problem with Grammarly. You'll get done for it on Turnitin. Turnitin picks up Grammarly, but if I see it, you won't face a penalty from me. I think it's quite useful. It doesn't change the substance of the content, in my opinion. If it was like 80% Grammarly or something, Turnitin will pick that up. So do I think you should use it? Yeah. Do I have any objections to it? No. If it comes up at 80%, are you going to get a question from me where I ask you for, usually what happens, if that happens, somebody asks you for your notes or a draft or something to prove that you did it yourself and you didn't download it or contract shop it. You know what I mean? That's what we do. We investigate and we do that and do that. I did 400 cases last semester, which all came in on Christmas Eve. So you could read about it on UCID Rants. Anyway, this is what I do for a living, so I just wouldn't do it in this class. Grammarly's fine. If you're doing significant translation services, just be careful. Google Translate or something, you're fine. I'm not fussed. But if you drop in an entire a text, it could do the same thing. An 80% translation service, I would have to ask a question, only because I don't know. I know more about Grammarly than I do about translation services, and I just want to make sure it's authentic. It's just my goal and my job, and just as a side note, what do you think the expectations are for how many students get done for integrity when you're teaching and you're the Associate Dean of Students? Zero, okay? So if the attention to the expectation regarding the identity is an issue, which it is, then this would not be the class to do it. And you'll see as we go through the slides, you've never had a class like this before. You have every lecture for 13 weeks already. All the readings already. All the rubrics already. The Supremes opened the week, okay? You're doing great here. You're going to be fine in this class. The general average, because I know that's what people care about, for marks, my classes is usually 70, 71. I don't give a lot of HDs. I don't fail students unless they fail themselves. But I'm not like gunning for, nobody's going to fail with a 49. Like, that's not how it works. If you fail with a 49, you should tell me as Associate Dean of Students, because somebody should yell at your lecturer, because that's a bad, I think you can get over the line. So I'm here, like, this is meant to be a good class that you enjoy and learn something. That's the goal. Any other questions? Okay, so AI, the use in any assessments is prohibited. That means you can use it to research, but don't copy and paste it into your paper. There are only 2 assessments in this class. It's a little bit like cheating in religion class as well, when you're working on like intersectionally vulnerable target populations. Okay, we did that. This is us. Okay, how are we doing on time? Okay, good. So you are in the best discipline at the best university in the country. We have it all. We have 73,000 students, which means we have everything. So if you're in here and you're like, I want to be president of whatever country, not by authoritarian means, I support you. But you can do, so fast welcome events, right? You got in my email. There was a welcome event, whatever it was the other day. There will be more events. There's SSPS events. That stands for School of Social and Political Sciences. We have events. Sydney Policy Lab, which I work with quite a lot, has great events. So what you do, okay. So I click on the link, and then I go to the website, and I type in my email, and then I get all the events for Sydney Policy Lab, and then for the Sydney Environment Institute, and then for Center for International Security Studies, and then for the U.S. Studies Center, and then Center for Healthy Societies, and then Sydney Ideas. So many things. You're paying so much money. These are all free. So you come here, you do all these, you get all the events that you're paying for, which we never talk about. I don't know why we don't talk about them more. But they're all free and they're all yours, and you're already, and if you ever went into a situation where, James, I'm going to pick on you one more time. If you run into a situation, James, let's pretend you were just a student of mine, and if you went to one of these events and you felt uncomfortable, what would you say? You were like the only one there, and you're like, oh, there's like one other person there, and you walk up to them and you're like, hi, and they say, hi. What's the first thing you should say?
Get to know them.
Okay, so my expectation has not been met, which is, no, it's a joke, that's a joke. So what I would say is, Chris invited me. So my name's Chris, I'm your lecturer. You can tell anybody, I mean, I don't know everybody, but 14 years, that's quite a few. You can say, because a lot of people will say, oh, well, I don't know anyone. You don't need to know anyone. Chris invited you, so you're fine. You're invited to all of these things that you've already paid for. So that's a good deal. You're invited. So go to these things, all right? And it's all in the thing, all right. We don't do nearly enough of these. Sorry. And I've got 3 events for you that you're specifically invited to because they're after this class. So we have welcome drinks in week 2 at the Flodge after this class. We have end of semester drinks after this class. You can see that. And then we've got week 6, we're going to do some hardcore public policy career shopping. And because, people take my class for like 3 main reasons. None of them are good, but for 3 main reasons. So it's get a job, get a promotion, get a degree, right? Those are pretty reasonable. Like, you are theoretically paying money to be here. So those are good, those are quite reasonable. So let's get you the job, let's get you the degree, and I'm on the team, put me in coach, one of those type things. So we'll do a careers day, and we'll do a thing next week after class. Okay. I'm so behind. These slides are all in your thing. Learning Hub. The only thing you need to know about the Learning Hub is that if you're brand new to the University of Sydney and you haven't submitted an assessment before, Hello. Are you new to the university?
No, I'm sorry.
Have you, how far into your degree are you?
Second semester.
Amazing. Okay, this could still apply. So you take one of your assessments, right? You can set up a 30-minute one-on-one consultation with the Learning Hub, and they'll go over it with you for 30 minutes. So what should I do? What's your name? Mackenzie. You already know the dates that your assignments are due. There were little things, and then the arrow, and then the thing, and it said your assessment was due. So if I knew when my assessments were due, and I knew what the assessment was, and I knew the Learning Hub did 30-minute one-on-one consultations, could I book now? Maybe a week before the assessment's due? With a draft, and then I don't have to write anything. The task here is to do nothing on the assessment. Just book the appointment for 6 weeks from now. And then you've got additional support. Okay. Mackenzie, have you read The Shark?
Yes, I have.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was awesome. It was very thorough.
Very thorough. It's, I'm neurodivergent, so it was like a dream. I love The Shark. And so in it, it says that we also do Zooms as a prep for each assessment. So you'll get a prep with me for each assessment, and you'll get, and how would you rate, James, last time? One of my Zoom sessions. Have you been?
Yes.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10.
It exceeded expectations.
It exceeded expectations. So my point is, like, I think people think that there are like Zooms, but maybe your question won't be answered, and maybe you just wasted your hour. Is that the way I run Zooms?
No,
Is it conceivable that I run them very much the way I run my lectures? So we'll make sure you get your answers. So you've got the Zoom class, plus you've got the Learning Hub, and so these are support systems. So if you're, who here, this is our first semester? No, but okay, okay. All right, so like maybe 20% of the class, this is our first semester. So Learning Hub would be useful. I did it when I've got three degrees from this university. I went to the Learning Hub and helped with mine, because it had been 10 years since I did my undergrad, so I got help, and that was very useful. Academic workshops, peer programs, QR code. Library has tons of workshops and classes and things. And you can also borrow books from the library, it turns out. Peer advisors, there's all there. They're very excited about their Instagram. I don't get it, but that's fine. We're here to help all these people. Student Center, if you need to change anything, here's what you change, here's what you don't change. This is what they don't do, this is what they do. All the numbers. I mean, literally, it's as if we wanted good things to happen for you. Assume that we're on the team, we want good things. Faculty services, if you're going to go abroad, you contact faculty services. Like if you're going to go do a semester in Spain to track the orca, you go and call faculty services. Academic advisors, every discipline has academic advisors you can meet with that will also help you. They're not really assessment helpers, they're more like career planning, or if you want to change your degree or something like that. We already talked about that. That's great. If there's an emergency, leave the room. The bathrooms are over in the main quad. In the unlikely event of an emergency, we will leave the building, follow the exit signs. I'm really conscious of the fact that this is the least accessible room I think I've ever been in the university. So if you have or living with a disability, I have at least two. If you're living with a disability, then talk to me, and we can register for disability services and see if there's an accommodation that needs to be made. You know, one of the things for me is with my neurodiversity, so I really like not being near people. So that's my favorite thing, is not being near anyone. And so, like, I don't do well at concerts and things like that. So if maybe, like, so if it were me and I were sitting in this class, I'd be in the last row. So I could be first in, first out, airflow, plus bathrooms, plus all of it. So that would be what I did. So you might have a similar thing. But anyway, my point is, I'm here to help. Academic integrity, we already talked about it twice. If you're an Indigenous student, there is the ITAS, which is a great program that is here to support you. If you are all postgrads, so you should all join Supra and get access to their events and the things that they do. Again, there's also writing support here. Where am I on time? Okay, good. Finding a job. I'm one of these, I want people to get jobs. Sorry. I want people to get jobs. And one of the things I recommend to all my master's degree students is to present at a conference, present in class. Specialize, specialize, specialize. Specialize, specialize, specialize. So what you do is, in all your classes, like maybe you've got a trajectory and you want to do sharks, and so then you write a shark paper in every class. Or you want to do Indigenous rights. So you write 5 Indigenous papers in 3 different classes. Or maybe you want to do industrial relations, so you do 5 papers on industrial relations across your classes. If you talk with your lecturer, well, I'll be happy to do it. As long as you don't use the same paper more than once, you're fine. You can use the same topic and idea and things like that. This class is a little bit different because our 2 essays are on the voice and the referendum, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't present at a conference on a topic. Maybe you thought the orca story was really interesting and you want to write an orca paper and present it at the Australian Political Studies Association conference. You could do that. Let's see, last year I brought 5 of my master's degree in public policy students to a conference. The year before that we went to ANU and I brought 6. Last year it was here on campus. The other year, like I say, was 6. And one of them presented at the conference and got offered a PhD program at UQ for presenting at the conference. It looks great on a resume. It's good to specialize. I'll come back to it a million times. It is your get out of work free card. That just think about it this way. If you're a specialist in a topic, when they don't have you in a room, they are the ones that are upset, right? So whatever power dynamic you're dealing with, if you're a specialist in a field, but they're talking about that specialty, and you're not there, they need you there in order to make it work. I used to do politics a little bit, and I would debate with President Obama quite a lot on a couple of different issues, and we got in a fight, and it's called the deep freeze. If the White House puts you, they're not talking to you, you're in the deep freeze. It's like an Arctic experience. And I was in the deep freeze, and then I got a call from Rahm Emanuel, and who is the White House Chief of Staff. He's currently the U.S. ambassador to Japan, and he's the former mayor of Chicago. But and there was a problem that they needed to solve. Did I tell you guys the story? So there was a problem that they needed to solve, and so I got brought into the Roosevelt room to solve the problem. Did they want me there? No. Am I particularly likable? No. But did the White House bring me in? Yes. Why? Because they needed to solve the problem, and I was the person who could solve the problem. The difference between expectation, I can harmonize the situation. And it is the only advice that's ever worked for me, which is that you specialize and you become nobody else can do what you do. If you're like, oh, there's a million people who do already this topic, not like you do. I don't agree. So there's a thing. Okay, if you are living with a disability, like I said, I'm neurodivergent and have an additional disability. And coincidentally, in the Faculty of Arts, 25% of students are living with a disability, and of those, 72% of them have an additional disability that they also live with. So it is very, very common that there could be multiple things going on. Okay, are we doing? Okay, give me 5 minutes and we'll break. That's me. Oh, I did this on, I did the drum quite a lot back in the day. And Andrew Bolt wrote a column in The Australian about this outfit. He called me kind of cute, which is true. I am kind of cute. About 50% of readings. It's more than this. This is all. The one thing I would say about this is you are active participants in your learning experience. So if you feel that the reading list does not reflect your lived experience, you have every right to pass that on to your unit coordinator and lecturer. My reading list is more than 50, this was sort of a placeholder for me to use this example. It's more than 50% women or non-men, so maybe non-binary. Oh, by the way, my pronouns are they, them. So non-binary or female. And it's more than 30% culturally and linguistically diverse, and it's got a bunch from me. Not too many. I took out like 5, so there's like 2 or 3. So there's a few that are queer. Okay, these objectives, we want you to do well. We're going to look at short-term and long-term process of the policy-making process. How do you, if you're a community whose emotions are not going to be listened to, how many options does the policy process have to invalidate your expectations? Put another way, how many bites of the apple does the policy process get to invalidate your expectations if they want you to go away? They've got the policy and they've got the process. So they've got 2. So when we talk about public policy, so here's an example. You can have same-sex marriage. If, right? So we're going to go to process now. You've got to do a survey, a postal survey, a plebiscite, and you've got to get a majority in all the states and then a majority of the states. So create a process. Same thing, this class is going to be about the voice, right? So the process is part of, and I don't think we talk about it enough. Like we were talking I was talking with someone earlier today about bureaucracy and implementation processes and straight-level bureaucrats. You know, it's like the example I used in my last course where we were talking about gay marriage in the United States. But then you have Kim Davis in West Virginia who won't give as a street-level bureaucrat, won't give the certificate to the people to certify the marriage. So what use is marriage equality if the clerk at the court refuses to certify the marriage? So the process is, and we talk about it in administrative burden literature. There's a really great scholar named Dean Spade who does, Dean Spade, who talks about administrative burdens for trans and gender diverse communities. And it's important to note that both the policy and the process are designed to impose these burdens on communities in order to deny them the equity and equality that they seek. So it's not by mistake. Okay, last thing done, we're done. We're for the break. Oh, good, we did that. Good, we did that. Okay, that's fine. Okay, good, we'll stop there. Let's take, how long should each break be? I usually do 6 minutes, because it's not, or 7? I mean, we've got a lot more stairs than I would like. So why don't we say 7 minutes? Okay, we'll be back in 7. It's 5:54 now. Okay, can you watch this for a second? Yeah, just make sure somebody walks away.